that much Christian shit. He even seems so all of a sudden take
media, we're waiting for the debut. If Kevin F doesn't come, I'm going to let him know I'm very upset. Because he's a great friend and a great documentarian. There's a wonderful reporter from AT&T, which was mainstream when I invited him. She's a single mother, Sandy. I can't come because it's the only time I serve dinner for my son. But I would love to know if there are people I can talk to after this, so I went on to get names. But what we got is a great network of ethnic media. You met your fellow country first from Radio Canada. We have the big Korean news. We have India Current. We have several Spanish language media. And we have Filipino media. Now this is what it should be. We should all be interested in covering each other's communities. And there is something important topic about healthcare. And so about 9 months ago, the Department of Healthcare Services asked us to help get information out about how they are expanding the services. They have a new vision of healthcare that is not headquartered and stuck in hospitals and doctors, but has people going into communities to close the gap or narrow the gap, especially for people who have never had easy access to health care. So we are extremely thankful to the Department of Health Care Services for supporting us as we try to meet in various parts of the state to tell the story of how Medi-Cal is trying to expand its services, because if people don't know those services exist, then it's not as effective. We need to be the messengers that carry the work of places like Cameo House to a wider audience. So I want to, first of all, acknowledge our Department of Health Care Services who are here and very important supporters for this work. And then I would like to acknowledge Tina, who helped us make the breakthrough to this terrific center, Cameo. Our focus today is how the health care access is being addressed through Medi-Cal's expansion for people re-entering from a variety of circumstances, from prison to detention centers to all sorts of limitations, and now re-entering society. And how do you access health care? And I have to say, you had the terrific lead when I asked one of our members of the audience, okay, what is the biggest health care issue? And you said the biggest health issue for all of us is housing. And you know what? Medi-Cal addresses issues related to housing too. So we'll hear about that. But I want to thank Tina for making this introduction, and I'm going to let you take over. Mr. Epps, it is wonderful to have you. Please, yes.
Hi, everyone. So nice to see you all. It's really nice to look out and see a diverse set of faces here, and appreciate you all being here. I'll introduce myself. My name is Tina Marie Curiel Vega. I'm the daughter of Gonzalo Juan Curiel and Eleanor Cecilia Curiel Vega. I'm Chicana and Boricua, formerly incarcerated and system impacted. I myself live in Modesto, California, not in San Francisco. I have the pleasure of doing communications for the Center on Juvenile and Criminal Justice. I've also had the pleasure of being the beneficiary and the person receiving these types of services myself through a lot of different avenues, and then getting to manage programs that offer services like this. So seeing it from a lot of different ways, I'm really grateful for, I know, all the coordination and care, and it really does take a village for our community. So thank you all for being here that way. And then for CJCJ, you know, our mission is to reduce society's reliance on incarceration as a solution to social problems. And we do that in a few different ways. We do that through direct services in San Francisco itself, which is what you all are here for. And we also do that through policy advocacy, public education efforts, and research. So those are all different subjects, but we're trying to approach it in different ways and be where we see we can make the best effect. And so one of them is definitely direct services. And that's where Cameo House and other programs that we have come in. And so we have some Cameo House participants that are here that I hope you all speak with throughout the course of this event. And then I also have some Cameo House staff that's kind of going to introduce Cameo House and what they do, because I'd like for you all to hear it from them. And thank you so much for being here. If you have other questions about CJCJ, definitely look us up on the website. I'm the person if you want to email us. And if you have any questions about our research and reporting, they are all tied together with that same mission.
Tina,
so thank you so much.
Repeat what CJCJ stands for.
Center on Juvenile and Criminal Justice. and our mission is to reduce society's reliance on incarceration as a solution to social problems.
I would just say for 30 years, 40 years, CJ has been an enormously valuable resource on all things related to crime and justice. So it was a tremendous connection for us.
Y'all need help with data or looking at data or reporting or different types of things. We do that types of stuff and looking at different types of things with law enforcement and help at looking at data, San Francisco related and things like that. We're known for that as well as our direct services. So really, really proud to work for CJ. And we're here for Cameo House and healthcare and access to that. So I'll turn it over to some Cameo House staff, if they don't mind, to come introduce themselves and then maybe what Cameo House does before we have our providers go on and say what they have to offer to our Cameo House folks. I'm going to go over here so I could get my camera and take a picture of you. Do I give her this mic, right?
Yes.
I'm going to put this right here.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. We appreciate it. Hi. My name is Nina Clark. I've been with Cameo, I think going on about 6 years. About 6 years. I've been here a while. It's like a second home to me. I love it. And not just because I work here. It's really, really, really a good organization. Seriously, it is. We help women that has been in system impacted, that are trying to reunite with their kids. So they come here with their kids and some come here without their kids. But it's a great place for kids, as you see. And that's one of the reasons why I love it also. So,
when you say system impacted,
incarcerated.
tell us what you mean by that. Some of us are not familiar with once you go from the abstraction, what does it really mean?
Okay, so when women are coming out of incarceration and back into society, we try to help them get back on their feet. So they come to Cameo House, and some of them have CPS cases, and we try to reunite them back with their children.
CPS,
Child Protective Services. Yeah. And so that's what we do. I know we do a way lot more, but, this is my first time on camera. I'm kind of nervous. But, yeah. Cameo House is a great organization. It really is. And I'm proud and honored to be working here. So thank you, guys.
Thank you.
It's NINA.
NINA.
Yes.
And the program director, do you want to introduce yourself?
We have the program director here as well. About the alternative sentencing and how long women can stay here.
Hi, I'm Charity Harris. I'm the new program director at Cameo House. I've been here. Yeah, I have a problem with speaking up. Talk very softly. But it has a big impact. I've been working here for like 8 years. We're an alternative sentencing program. I do not do well with public speaking.
You're an alternative
sentencing program.
The
women can come here in lieu of serving their time in jail or prison. They come here, they have the opportunity to get their life back together, reunite with family, get therapy, housing, employment, deal with their past trauma, current trauma. Because I love you. You're part of my family. And this is a second family for me. This has given me purpose at a time in my life where I lost my purpose. And when I started working in this field, working with these vulnerable populations, I started working with little children from 0 to 5. And seeing the impact of the criminal justice system, the family justice system on these families, inspired in me this purpose to advocate and stand up for people whose voices have been minimized and give what I've had, the great fortune from God, to provide a safe space and a place where they can get their lives back together and get their children and rebuild their families and create a solid foundation for that. And Cameo when I came to Cameo, I started working with the adults and the children and seeing that part of it. Also realizing that the children, if you get to the children, you got a better chance of breaking the cycle. That's what I was always told. But as I worked with the adults and helped them realize that they have purpose, they have worth, despite everything that was done to them in their lives, and they can come back from that, and us being part of that I'm trying not to cry.
You're doing a great job.
I'm sorry, I'm trying not to cry.
No.
Has really continued to inspire me to continue to do this. Hopefully we'll be around for the next infinite years.
Could I ask you one question?
Yes.
Since this is about Medi-Cal
Right.
and its role in expanding health services, how do you see, and I know we're going to have speakers speak directly, but how do you see the issue of accessing health care for people re-entering?
Having health care is very vital. One that's a little more, that's more integral to that, or integral to that, is stability, and that is permanent housing. Without that, they don't have an opportunity to do anything. But healthcare definitely opens up that avenue or that opportunity for them to address whatever they need to address. Because the services they provide with mental health services, physical health, all that, having them have access to that will definitely help with securing other things as far as housing, reuniting with family, kind of stuff. So sorry.
Great. No,
Yeah.
we put you on the spot, and
Yes.
you were eloquent.
I was trying to give my fellow co-worker the opportunity. She did a great job.
No, thank you.
This is our
So
first time.
I'm going to introduce my colleague Selene, who is going to introduce our speakers who are on the program. They will each speak for a few minutes, and then we are going to look forward to talking to you all. And I'd love to ask you, after they speak, to then comment on what they said, so that each of you can introduce yourself about what they said, what your thoughts are, and then people who haven't had a burrito, if there are any left, should have a burrito and can talk to people individually. Okay?
Thank you,
Thank
Charity.
you.
We love you, Charity.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes.
All right. I'm Selene. I'm the research director of Ethnic Media Services. I've learned more about Medi-Cal in the last 12 months than I ever thought I would. A lot of it has to do with the fact that just how unprecedented for the past few years, but particularly since the pandemic, they've been very hip to the fact that you can funnel as much money into filling the seats in the county and so on as you want, and you should. But if you don't give people a reason to trust you, if you don't meet them where they're at, if you're homeless and diabetic, for instance, and you get prescribed insulin but you don't have a fridge to put it in, it's what use is it, you know? I don't know any other system that's doing what Medi-Cal is. I know there is no other system that's doing what Medi-Cal is publicly to really help people on that level, meet them where they're at. Planned Parenthood couldn't come, but they did bring some swag and info about the stuff that's covered under Medi-Cal to provide all the help you want. Who did come to speak are two people from the Occupational Therapy Training Program here in the city. They do a lot of youth mental health counseling and other social services. We have Teresa Ricardo, the Clinical Services Director, first.
She's not here. It's just only me.
Okay, we have Janelle Bucat, the Program Manager and an Occupational Therapist.
Yes.
So you have both the policy and the on the
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So my name is Janelle Bucat. I'm an occupational therapist and program manager at OTTP. I have been at OTTP since 2015, and we have been an agency providing mental health services for youth impacted by various systems involvement and trauma since, I want to say, the late 1990s. What makes us very unique in our agency is not only are we a team of psychotherapists, case managers, we have occupational therapists on our team, and that's kind of like our specialty. So for those of you who are not familiar with what occupational therapy is in the mental health world, we basically are the type of therapists that heal by doing. So our main modality of therapy is activity. And what I like to describe to people is we help youth engage in daily occupations. And you might think that occupations are everyday jobs, but that's not true. Occupations are actually daily activities that you do in your life that occupy your time. And that can range anywhere between personal care, self-care, going to school, going to work, making friends, driving. These are all daily activities that we want to do and need to do to thrive in our daily lives. And so I want to talk a little bit about some of the programs that we have at OTTP. So we have an office here in San Francisco, and we recently expanded to the East Bay as well. We have a behavioral health services program that serves youth who have Medi-Cal. And this is very unique because you will not find any provider in the Bay Area who offers mental health occupational therapy. You won't even find that for people who have private insurance. So it's a very unique niche that we have. We have a wraparound program, and so referrals for a wraparound program will come directly from the San Francisco Department Public Health Risk Team. We also have a partnership with the Family Mosaic Project, and they contract us to do the OT part of the wraparound service. And then we have our ERMS program, which stands for Educationally Related Mental Health Services, and these are referrals that will come directly from a school site and a youth's IEP. We also have a SOAR program, and this is our program where we have psychotherapists and OTs who are directly involved in the SOAR classrooms in different schools in San Francisco. And then our behavioral health services outpatient program. So this is our program where we get referrals from families, from schools, directly from other community partners, and this is where we provide the mental health services such as psychotherapy and occupational therapy for youth in the community. We're very community-based, so we try to meet youth where they're at. So let's just say, for example, the youth is struggling to get to school, right? Like we will most likely try to meet them at their home or wherever they feel comfortable so that we can help them develop the skills so that they... Oh, yeah, of course. So that we can help them develop the skills so that they can get back into the community. Another program that we have, which is a program that I'm a part of, is our Juvenile Justice in Custody Services program, which is funded directly by the Department of Children, Youth, and Families. And this is a program that I have been working on for several years. So we basically provide therapeutic groups for the youth who are in custody in the juvenile hall, and we also meet with the youth one-on-one to help them develop the skills that are necessary for them to transition back into the community. We also have a contract at the Alameda County Probation Department as well, so we are in the San Francisco Juvenile Hall and the Alameda County Juvenile Hall. Aside from that, we also have a school-based program where we work in many different elementary and middle schools in San Francisco, and an alternative schools program where we work with all of the different alternative schools in the district. And one of the things that I really like about that program is that we are really supporting youth to develop the skills so that they can graduate from high school, right? They end up in an alternative school because maybe the traditional high school setting wasn't successful, and so we really help develop the skills so that they can graduate and be successful out in the real world. And lastly, we have our employment program, and this is a program that is funded by the Department of Rehab. And to refer a youth for this program, they have to be 16 to 24 years old, and they have to be consistently working with like a care provider or a therapist. And it's entirely funded by the Department of Rehab as well. So we're actively taking referrals for that program. And lastly, we do have an early childhood education program where we work with youth 3 to 5 years old. We have many different contracts in Oakland, and we work in 2 different schools in San Francisco, located in Bayview District. If you have any questions,
Well,
What's been new over the past 2 years, or will be soon, that Medi-Cal has been made possible? What are new programs?
Well, in the past, we haven't been, so I would say OTTP actually acquired our SOAR program recently because we had combined forces with another CBO. We also started our wraparound program, I want to say, within the last 5 years. So formerly we were our outpatient program where we would get referrals from different clinics and from different schools, but now we have a wraparound program where we get referred intensive services directly from SFDPH.
Cool.
Yeah. Yes.
So I'm wondering, you said that you work with 2 different schools. Does that mean that you can still get referrals from other schools, or do you only work with those 2 schools?
So we have many different contracts in different schools all over the city. It's too much to name, but you can contact me to see if you have somebody who goes to that school, and then we can talk to the social worker to see if we could serve them.
Okay.
Sanchez. Okay. We don't have a contract with them yet.
Okay.
Yes.
I wanted to know, are you guys connected with any other MTU clinics as well?
MTU, what does that stand
Medical
for?
therapy units.
Medical therapy units. Is
Because
that
you guys mentioned IEP stuff, so that's what I was
Yes,
just
yes,
Because
yes,
my
yes.
daughter does OT and PT because she has cerebral palsy.
Yes.
But also, other.
Yes, yes.
So that's
So typically youth who have an IEP through the San Francisco Unified School District will get referred an occupational therapist.
Mm-hmm.
We can work with youth and they don't have to have an IEP.
Oh, okay.
To what extent are you finding certain medical and behavioral health issues unique to women re-entering, like our colleagues here, in needing mental health services or behavioral health services? What are you seeing are some of the issues?
Right. I would say, because I formerly actually worked at Hilltop High School, which is
old high school.
Yeah. I worked there for many years, and I would say there's so many barriers. I think that definitely trying to find a therapist who can meet you where you're at, right? So, for example, if therapy is only limited to school and the youth is not coming to school, then obviously they're not going to access the therapy at school because they're not going. So really trying to meet the client or the patient where they're at is really important. I think that's one of the things that we really hold true at OTTP is that we are community-based. So we have the ability to go out to your home. We have the ability to go to a cafe or wherever you feel comfortable and provide therapy in that sense. I think definitely making connections and building connections with your peers is super important, right? After working at Hilltop High School, I've seen just like a beautiful network of young moms coming together and like sharing resources and letting each other know like, oh, I went to this clinic for this, or like, it's really, there's so much resources out there, and it's just it's about knowing where to go, right? And I think that coming together and sharing those resources with each other is really meaningful and important.
Just curious, in your day-to-day interactions with your clients and people who come to the center, what are some of the more common challenges that they tell you about in terms of getting the healthcare they need? And what are some of the, I love Medi-Cal.
Yes.
On the phone for hours
Yes.
trying to get.
Yes.
Forget even a therapist. I don't even know where to begin looking for them.
Right. And that's exactly one of the issues that we come across is that oftentimes we have a lot of folks who come in and they say, well, I need to go get a social security card, or I need to go contact CalFresh, CalWorks. And they get on the phone and it takes hours, right? And so really trying to figure out like, okay, what can be like the easiest way to get to some of these resources? And it can be a challenge. I've sat with some youth in the past, and we would be on the phone for hours, right? But I feel like, with the right supports, it is possible to access those resources. And I personally feel like I wish it was an easier process for all, because I do see that there are a lot of barriers, especially, let's just say, for example, a youth is waiting for a phone call for an interview with CalFresh, and they didn't get it because maybe they were in class, they couldn't get the phone, or they don't answer, a phone call that has a number that they don't know, and so they miss the opportunity for that interview. And so that is what I think is like one of the barriers in the system, is that they make it really hard to access some resources.
And are there, just on the question of therapists, do you feel like there are enough to meet the need? And do you have therapists that work in languages other than English?
Yes. We have bilingual therapists in Spanish, Cantonese, Mandarin, in Tagalog as well. I believe also in Vietnamese. And I feel like, sorry, what was the other part of your question?
I'm just curious because we hear a lot in the news about the lack of therapists.
Yes.
There are not enough out there.
We, honestly, we have a lot of therapists on our team. It's just a matter of funding, right? Like, we would love to provide more support, more services to, everyone in the community. It's just a matter of funding. Our Medi-Cal program right now currently has a pretty lengthy wait list, and so, if there is a possibility that we can get more funding directly from the Department of Public Health, that would be wonderful.
Do you have any thoughts about that, Griselda? I know you're in communications, but...
Yeah, I'm on the communications end of, just like you guys, we wish we could speed everything up. And I think that goal, and we recognize it's been a system that hasn't always been the most up to date, but I think so much of what we're trying to do. Medi-Cal now is really bringing to be a modern healthcare system that is for providers and...
Yes, and we're so grateful that we're able to even provide these services, because again, you won't be able to find mental health occupational therapy anywhere, and to provide that for youth specifically with Medi-Cal is a very unique specialty that we have.
That's fascinating, because I didn't realize there was something called occupational therapy. It's great.
It's therapy by doing, is what I like to describe it as.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
I'm so bad with names, I don't think I introduced my own. That's Griselda Mulgoza, by the way, for communications. I'm Selena Astor with BMS.
Thank you. And I have flyers. They might fly one on the table, so you can just come up to
one
me.
of the hand sanitizers.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Thanks, Janelle.
Yes.
Next, we have Georgina Gutierrez, who's the service coordinator for Instituto Familiar de la Raza, Latino and Indigenous Social Services organization, also here in the city.
And Georgina's not here, but me and Karina are here. How's that?
Nice.
So maybe we'll share this. So good evening. It's an early evening, right, everyone? My name is Michelle Alvarez Campos. I am one of the directors at our La Cultura Cura program, which is our youth-focused services, and my partner in crime here is...
Yes, good evening, everyone. My name is Karina Gonzalez-Uber, and I am the data specialist, case management, quality assurance go-to person for our program called La Cultura Cura at IFR.
Yeah, so Instituto Familiar really, it's...
So can we give you all my speakers?
Oh, there you go. Okay. So we are pretty much a institution. We've been around in the community for 40 years now. And we're really focused on working with Chicano, Latino, and Indigenous communities. It doesn't mean we do not serve other communities. We have many partnerships, but we're a really comprehensive agency. So we're just one of the 9 programs that are representing, but we do have several programs across our agency that provide specialized services depending on age group, as well as if we're working with children, youth, and or families. So ours is specifically for youth services, but our agency also has something called Casa Corazon, which is part of one of the family resource systems. We're part of the Chicano Latino Collaborative Resource System, so we really work a lot with families that are going through foster care and CPS. We're part of the Differential Response Unit as well. But it's really focused on working with families that have children 12 and under, and we even have a specific focus for children with families who have children from 0 to 5. But we do work really hard to provide not just mental health and behavioral services, but our focus is really we could heal in many different ways, and that means how do we bring in also alternative and community best practices in order to our healing. So one thing could be therapy, but we do a lot of wellness activities as well. And for us, it's really about how do we reconnect our families to building community engagement so they feel part of our part of the community as well. We work with a really high level of newcomers or immigrant families, so a lot of them are very isolated and small living conditions because, as we know, housing is expensive, and we have many families living in small apartments. So part of our services is really getting families to get out of those small little apartments and being able to come to an agency where they could actually do things, whether it's we're singing songs with little children and the parents teaching them, right? Modeling, like, how do you do playtime with your kids in different ways? It could be taking our youth, getting them out of, right, the routine of just being home, and we're going to explore, we're going to go kayaking today over in the marina. That way you have something to do. So there's a lot of innovative different things we do because our vision is that healing comes in different ways. So those are just two of our different programs, but we do have a comprehensive outpatient mental health clinic as well. We provide services also for young people that have ERMS through their IEP, which is ERMS, educational-related mental health. And we also do provide services for folks that have Medi-Cal and don't have Medi-Cal as well.
So what difference has Medi-Cal's expansion meant for your program?
Yeah. So specifically, so we've been, our team, like Cultura Cura, we've been working with young people that are involved in juvenile justice here in San Francisco for more than 25 years. We have a partnership with the Centralized Assessment Center as well. So when young people get stopped in the streets for misdemeanor or graffiti, we're able to have someone stationed over at our CARC office that's able to connect them and start providing resources not only to the youth but to the families as well. So it's not Medi-Cal focused, but the nice thing about Medi-Cal is we're able to utilize and provide. So a lot of the services for our young people, we do like a mini wrap program, meaning we always have a therapist working with the youth as well as a case manager, someone that's closer in age to that young person that's able to provide services such as young people want to find jobs, so let's find you a job. Our undocumented youth can't work legally, but we find them things to do, so then we could pay them an internship or provide them some kind of incentive so they feel like they're contributing to their families that are very needy. So our Medi-Cal dollars in our funding, we're able to provide that small mini wraparound to provide some of these other services that are not traditional as therapy, but are still wellness activities that happen.
Great. Terrific. Questions?
Where are you guys located?
So it depends what program you want.
No, I guess I've heard of the Instituto before, but I just don't know, I guess, where would be right.
Yeah, so our youth program is located on Geneva and Mission, right on the corner. We're around the corner from Popeyes. But our main office is on 25th and Mission. We also have our LGBTQ services. We have services specifically for that population or anyone that has HIV. That service is over on Mission and Division in one of the buildings there. That's called Cia La Vida. So we have many places. We have a co-location. We are also part of what we call the Roadmaps to Peace Initiative, which is a youth violence prevention program, but also intervention. So we collaborate with 5 other organizations specifically providing youth. We also are part of the the transitional age youth community court. So anyone that gets picked up on something minor around drug charges, we're able to link them quickly to a small wraparound program to a case manager and other providers to divert them from, pretrial diversion and start working with them right away, as well as the families.
Has the expansion of Medi-Cal to all people, regardless of legal status, made a difference for your program?
So currently, I can't say that we recently got funded for what they're calling comprehensive enhanced case management, specifically for those folks that have Medi-Cal, meaning we know that in order to do the therapy, and somebody already spoke about it, to deal with the trauma, to make yourself feel better, you got to be stabilized, right? You got to have routine. Right. Housing is the first one. Definitely, that's a barrier. Right. Our communities need housing. They need affordable housing as well. But the second thing is sometimes basic services. So with the new funding Medi-Cal has, we're hoping on being able to start with case management services and eventually prepare whether it's a parent, a father, a child, a teenager, like when are they going to be, when are they ready to okay, now I'm ready to do the therapy to deal with my trauma. right? And if it's not therapy, how do we link you to wellness activities? That still is going to help you, right? Learn different coping skills so you could like have, a nice and lively type of life, have more a thriving life.
You mentioned the activities. Do you have them like on weekly basis, or you have them also on weekends? The activities for families.
So the activities for our young families do happen. So besides, we have parenting classes in the evening for a lot of our families through our Casa Corazon program. For activities for our youth, we do a lot of them after school. Sometimes we do weekends. This weekend, we're going to Muir Woods. We're throwing a bunch of young people and families on the bus. We're going to go to Muir Woods for a hike to get out of the city. So some happen on the weekends, some happen mostly in evenings because we know our families, they can't be seen 9 to 5. A lot of our services, specifically for our young people involved in juvenile justice and also our newcomer youth, we're out on the field, meaning we're out. I do home visits still. Some people don't. But I see families in their homes because a lot of them have to come home. They got to cook dinner. So I'll say, I'll come over at 7 and, after you're done with dinner and the kids are served, we'll come in here and we'll do a therapy session. So we're very mobile and we're also out at the schools quite often as well.
We like that. So how do we sign up for the
So we brought some stuff that you could definitely start by taking one of the brochures for sure.
We have brochures right here.
And we apologize, we didn't bring the agency ones. We didn't have any at our location, but that will give you a start for sure.
And what do you make of Cameo House? Is this a center where you regularly connect to
We
people?
don't regularly connect, but we do work very closely with CJ. We work with similar publications, just like with OTTP. There's a lot of collaboration that happens behind all those meetings that happen out in the community. So, we're always sharing information, but also resourcing with each other. I know there was a question about capacity. Like, the wait listing is real around behavioral health services citywide. For a lot of our population, we're looking for bilingual clinicians in Spanish, and there's been a shortage in California alone. So we might have funding, but are we able to hire people that are bilingual? So capacity of the workforce is short still. So that's a big barrier for our families. So that's why we do more creative things, like whether it's a group or we do a lot of groups at the schools. That's one of our big things we do. We do a lot of support groups at the schools as well. But you had a question, yeah?
Yeah, it's kind of a random question, but there used to be, you'd read about young people and their experiences in the city. There were magazines and things like that. And I feel like that's gone. And I don't know what young people are experiencing in the city. I don't know where to turn other than like social media. And that's hard to gauge. And I'm just curious from your perspective, what are young people confronting these days?
I'm gonna let Gotti speak.
What are some of the big topics that young people are confronting, particularly around issues of mental health?
I think one of them is, well, at least for a lot of our youth in our community, right, as Latino identified, it's the whole issue around what is mental health, right? Because it's kind of like those taboo topics of like, well, if you're not doing well, like you shouldn't really access those services because people are going to look at you a certain way, right? So I think it's really educating our youth on what is mental health, what does that look like, what can it look like, and if it's something that they're not necessarily ready for, as Michelle was mentioning, right? How can we introduce something that's comfortable for them and also for their families, right? Because so I work at 2 high schools providing support group for female identified youth, particularly Latinas, right? And even just the topic of identity comes up. Like a lot of youth maybe don't feel comfortable even identifying as a Latina, right? Or what does that look like for them? So I think, a lot of our cultural expectations or taboos, right, is really just a lot of education and just, I think really being open to understanding that it's a general population topic that comes up for a lot of the youth, right? And also like individually, what are they also going through? And I think a lot of that also came up for us during COVID. We had to switch a lot of our group work. We never stopped do virtual, right? So a lot of issues would come up around housing for sure. And and I think we wanted to make sure that our youth were really respected and they had a safe space. And so then I think for many of us, right, specifically for our youth, there were a lot of conversations on oh my gosh, what I'm experiencing is anxiety. What is that, right? Or I'm experiencing depression, or my parents are over here, they lost their job because a lot of them don't have legal status. So now we're all stuck at home trying to figure out how we're going to pay the rent this month. So it's so many different layers. But definitely for our youth, I think many of the same experiences that even adults, face in this day and age. And I think the other thing, as you mentioned on social media, the pros and the cons to that, right? Because I know in a lot of the group work that we have at our schools, we work with high school age youth, and that comes up a lot, right? So what are the benefits to social media? We're talking to a lot of our youth around okay, well, if I'm not going to go to school, how can I use social media as something beneficial for my career in the long run, right? But then also the negativity around just so much can happen because of social media, right? So there's so many different things that our youth experience, in San Francisco and many cities in the Bay Area. But I would say some of those are the things that we definitely see.
And our youth, just like their families, there's just barriers to access to a lot of things.
Yes.
So a lot of my case managers, they're helping families navigate systems. So whether it's how do you apply for CalFresh? How do you go get an ID card? It's just navigating different systems. And the biggest system sometimes is the school district. Yeah. So our school districts, unfortunately, are impacted. They don't have enough staffing. But really navigating, making sure they also get the resources within their own school community that's going to help them be successful at school is a really big thing.
Thank you. Just because the sun is going down.
Absolutely.
I want to turn to our folks from Cameo House who have joined us and really appreciate having you here. The question, so thank you, please join. What we really want, pardon me?
That was some great information.
Yeah. What? Okay, what we would like to do is ask each of you to stand, if you don't mind, and just say your name and tell us what you think the most important resource in your re-entering has been at Cameo House. What is Cameo House doing that is really helping and supporting you? And then where would you like to see healthcare access improved? What is the challenge you think, not just yourself, but maybe a friend or others, where in the healthcare system is the biggest, most important challenge that Medi-Cal needs to address, or maybe already is addressing? And let's start with
you. If you feel comfortable, if you would rather not answer, you don't need to, but if you would like to, I just want to offer it that way in case of
Really, you are our storytellers. You are the most important people we need to learn from. You've heard these remarkable programs that are out there to address healthcare issues. How are they meeting your needs, and what more can you tell us are challenges you're facing? So
that's encouraging. Okay, I guess. Hi, my name is Margaret. I've been here at Cameo House just a little over a year.
I was formerly incarcerated at Santa Rita County Jail in Alameda County, and I'm technically a native of San Francisco. All 5 of my children, from ranging ages as young as 9 years old to as old as 26, has been impacted. But here's where I've been able to meet a different side of community, because I used to work with a lot of like youth and community, because I was a teen mom, a Hilltop graduate, class of 2001, proudly. So in that perspective, I actually I'm currently employed through 5 Keys as school and programs as a housing ambassador through the social, through their sheltered programs, and as well I'm a student at Chabot College and RISE program scholar. So Cameo House has given me the opportunity upon my exit while I was still in school, continue my education, get employment. The next step is housing. What's helping me actually is through the Medi-Cal program, by the grace of God, because I don't have CPS actively.
CPS?
Child Protective Services. I do not have them actively in my life. The case is closed. But currently, Health Right 360 through the case manager that is working through Medi-Cal is what's paying to get me all the appointments to go see different units, like preparing me for the transition from moving to my next step in life to move out of Cameo House. And I feel a little bit more at ease, not just depending on Child Protective Services or Adult Protective Services as a person with a disability. So it gives me a sense of hope to be independent.
What are you studying at Chabot?
Sociology.
Where do you see yourself wanting to be in your studies and your...
Like the ladies that were talking about the Instituto, I like to help navigate people through systems and stuff. Like a lot of my family is basically a blended status family. So a lot of people from Central America, but like me as the U.S. citizen, I can kind of, the language barrier, I can speak both languages. And successfully, I've been able to help a lot of families get connected and get supported services. Not everything is easy. It is time consuming, especially when you're visually impaired. But it takes a community, takes everybody a little bit of everyone to put back in. That's what I would say.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Community thing like this.
Yeah, you do next.
Yeah, you next. Yeah, go
So I'm Kimiko. Bear with me. I have a hard time speaking in front of people. I have anxiety. So I came from Sacramento. This is like my 3rd program, I believe. And I've been in Cameo since April. I had made a verbal agreement with my cousin for her to keep my son while I was in my addiction, so I did not have to deal with CPS. Once I got here, I started having him weekends, and then he came back to live with me. I feel like a lot of the resources that are needed are in the Black community. I'm biracial, and I remember growing up, my family didn't really believe in like mental health. In the Black community, I always heard that mental health is Caucasian people issues. We don't deal with that. And I feel like that's a lie. The Black community, in my opinion, faces a lot worse trauma than other cultures due to poverty, living in the ghetto, police brutality, gangs. But I feel they go through a lot of the worst trauma, but yet they don't believe in mental health. I think my family only started believing in it because more and more of us started coming up with like having anxiety or depression and things like that. So yeah, I feel like that's what we need, more therapists that are African American, more judges. I feel like certain things with the government keep us enclosed in this type of certain degree of poverty, and we accept it because society teaches us our brown isn't beautiful. So thank you. Kimiko?
Oh yeah, go. Come on, spiritual.
Thank you.
Hi. Yeah. What was just you said?
Like pretty much what brought you here, how long you've been here, and some more
Just your
resources.
story.
Okay.
Your story.
Ooh, my story's long. Not just playing.
And,
Hi.
and health. Your
Health-wise,
challenges with health. How are you a Medi-Cal recipient?
Yeah, I'm a Medi-Cal recipient, mental health person. Person of multiracial diversity. You know, I look a little darker than I'm supposed to. My family is Cuban, and then I'm African American too. I've been around the system since I was a small kid. My mom was on drugs, so it put me in the system. I was raised by my grandparents. Then when I got grown, had my own kids, I have 3 children. We went through some domestic violence, and so CPS, Child Protective Services, came in and stepped in and decided to take my 2-year-old now and 5-year-old, but they left me with my 15-year-old, and so that's who's here with me at Cameo House, my 15-year-old, and Cameo House is helping me to reunite with my 2 smaller children, which should be next month. I'm doing everything I can to do that. Yeah, my 2-year-old is autistic, so it's been a lot more of a challenge to learn everything about him being autistic, and Medi-Cal has helped with that. He's in Bay Area Regional, so he goes to School of Imagination for TK, and he's been doing really good. He's verbal. He's doing great. When he comes here, he visits, and he loves it. Cameo House has been a very big support team with that. My 15-year-old, he's pretty good. You know, he had an IEP before, and the Medi-Cal has helped with that, and Cameo House has helped with him being more social, actually, and helping me to deal with the fundamentals of raising a teenage African-American boy in, San Francisco society. I'm here in Cameo because of the domestic violence and Child Protective Services saying that I needed to change my life and not be around those type of people. So I gave up my housing and halfway got evicted illegally. Long story, but because of hoarding. I hoarded because of my past traumas, and so I have mental health therapists for that. I'm doing all the programs and all the events and everything I can and implement myself into, and Cameo has been helping me pay for everything, go to everything, be on time to everything. I used to be 2 hours late, now I'm 2 hours early, so it's been a blessing, and I do appreciate that, and along with them being all around wonderful, and it's a big sisterhood here, and a lot of people don't have that. At first I was like, program, I'm not going to program, I'm not a drug addict, I don't need this. But when I got here, the love and the attention and the support for mental, physical, just enabling yourselves to be a better person that we receive here is awesome. And Medi-Cal helping to be able to pay for us to be here is a wonderful thing. So I'm glad that they're able to implement that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Your children can be 0 to 17.
Children can be 0 to 17. Very, very important. Thank you. You see, all of us as journalists, we're storytellers. And you are the best storytellers I've heard in quite a while. Wonderful storytellers. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Amber. Wow, it's really gun shy up here. I have just been here a couple weeks, and so far, the best thing that's helped me is with Child Protective Services, and like getting the things that I need in order to get my son back. I was having a really hard time in getting him, and so far being here, just the name of Cameo House has moved me pretty drastically with where I'm at and getting my 6.5-month-old. I come from a lot of domestic violence, a lot of abuse growing up, and I have a lot of trauma just leave it at that. And I come from a very broken family. And so being here, it's really showing me how to work on me, and with the groups that they provide, it helps me to be able to focus on me, have the time to do so, and to be able to basically love myself again. And what I would like to see with the healthcare system is basically more of a variety of like
people being willing to take the time, like you guys are, to hear from us and what we need and give us the opportunity to like share our stories so they can hear what exactly it is that we need, because you're not just going to know just by us saying, oh, we need housing, oh, we need this, oh, we need that. You're going to have to listen to who we are a little bit, and you're going to be able to tell, like, oh, they need more of this, and this, like, because it is just housing and all that stuff, but, I mean, there's a lot more to it. You can't just throw us in a house and expect us to know how to take care of ourselves. But, yeah.
We just have one or two people left, and we would love to hear from you.
Hi.
Thank you.
Hi. Oh God.
Don't be shy.
Okay, my name is Nam. I'm South African. I've been 2 years here. I was homeless for a couple of days. I was in jail, and then Cameo House was able to accommodate us. My daughter was with Child Protection Services, so Cameo was my savior because I was able to get back my daughter because they couldn't send her back to me until I get a proper accommodation with the child. I'm currently on the green card, which is expiring, so I'm working through that. I'm in the trauma right now, and I'm working on the therapist. My therapist right now, the Cameo staff is really helpful because we cry to them every morning, and they have our backs, and whenever we feel down, whenever we need help, we just go down. They already know if you're not smiling, what's going on, what's wrong now. So that's the services that we get. And with medical, there's CarWorks. So I would say CarWorks is like really, it's a process that takes forever. Like, I'm still waiting. I haven't been on medical, so I'm waiting for me to get a therapy for myself. My daughter we managed to get a family therapy right now, but I'm working on getting individual therapy because I need to help myself too, because I'm going through trauma, but it is what it is. So we have our therapist in the house for now, but we're struggling in terms of that, in terms of help. It will be great, like if we can get like the individual people that can actually come to the house and check with us and find out what's going on, because today I'm having a good day, and then the next day I'm thinking, oh gosh, I'm not even from home. I have no family here. I have new family. I miss home. I can't go home. So it's really a challenging situation, but we keep up because we have people that listen to us. We have programs that we go to in WRC that work for us in daily basis. So we do need help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd like to ask our colleagues from DHCS, how do you see the expansion of Medi-Cal making a difference as you hear these stories?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just very touched. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your story and your experience. And hearing those stories is really important to how we deliver care. Recognize that the community-based organizations are really the front line. They know their people, they know their communities, and we want to be able to support community-based organizations that are already doing the work. We know that they have been doing this work for years. So it's just a matter of like us catching up to paying for that, essentially. So thank you all for sharing your stories and perspectives.
What was your name?
Griselda.
Griselda? And you're with who?
I'm with Department of Healthcare Services, so we oversee Medi-Cal as some other stuff, but mostly Medi-Cal.
All right. Thank you.
And this is what is amazing, is that this state agency that oversees Medi-Cal wants to get the word out to people in the communities. It isn't just let's do advertising. No, it's what you were saying, Amber. It's listening, it's hearing, and then it's engaging. And that's what has made us so interested in working with them. Now, there are two people who haven't spoken yet. The lady from Tonga, can you come? And you. Okay, just one person left. And then what we're going to do is break up. And for anyone who hasn't had a burrito, you
grab your burrito.
You can't leave.
Or else you get a burrito.
Okay.
There's chips too. I think there's a bag of chips there. Salsa, yeah, there you go. No, there's not.
It was a little
That's
crowd.
okay. Some beans.
You have to speak loud.
Can you talk a tiny bit louder? This name is almost gone. I apologize.
Sorry. Go ahead.
This is for Tonga Radio.
O kulele lo main eku polokalama mo kitoko fa pakon gos mama ku fa now ko ya pe malo.
Thank you, Mary.
Emily or John, could you share what?
I couldn't really hear her.
You couldn't, but it's on the tape. Okay. Now, honestly, this has been so inspiring. It is hard to find people willing to share their stories, so you don't see much in the media about what happens to people when they become system impacted. This is a very system impacted is one way to call it, but it really, when you've had to bear the burden of being incarcerated and then you're re-entering, how would I as a journalist find you to be able to learn and listen? So all of you gave us such a gift to be here and share your stories with us and to hear about the dedicated people at Cameo House and at the 2 community service agencies. This has been a very inspiring late afternoon. So if you can stay a little bit and talk to individual journalists, and also I'm thinking of the lady from KQED who said, Sandy, I am a single mom. I can't come at 5 to 7, but I would so, you see, here is the biggest radio station. She doesn't know how to find people like you, but she wants to learn and share with her audience. So I will come around and get a few of your names and see if you're willing to talk to her as well. But thank you and God bless.
I think you already had asked me.
Yes, I'm gonna take
Can we have a brochure?
Yes, please. Yeah, wait. Whatever you want. Give me some lavender. You know what that's for, right? Lavender? For you. But you know what it's for.